Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies coming at you with more old world content. A couple weeks ago I was going through all the videos for all of the 9 starting armies they've released with the old world. And when I got to the last one, which was Warriors of Chaos, instead of giving you guys a painting video, I wanted to see whether I could use the new miniatures and rank them up and use them in the old world. And this was the result. I managed to get 18 warriors looking pretty swish on a tray, 6x3 ranks, which I think is the optimal design for a unit, perhaps, I don't know. And then one of the new units of knights based up on the correct base size and ready for war as well, which of course means that I did not give you guys a painting video on how I would tackle Warriors of Chaos. Now, Warriors of Chaos have never been my favorite army. I definitely want to get an army of them up and running and ready for recording some battle reports, but I don't think I'm going to lavish as much attention on them as I would, say, for my Bretonnians or other forces. So in my head, that means that I have to create a scheme that I'm very comfortable painting up in a very quick manner. So that's what I'm going to do here today. I'm going to try and design a scheme that means that I can get this army painted in only a couple of hours and get it on the table and still looking pretty cool. And I think I've managed to pull that off, but you'll have to wait to the end of the video to see for yourself. Before I get into the video, I just want to say a huge thank you for all the continued support on the old world. You guys have been absolutely loving the content, and I've been more than happy to continue delivering for you. So if you're still happy enough with the old world content moving forward, please let me know in the comments below. It really does help kind of boost my confidence with doing that, because obviously not doing as much 40k content, which was the backbone of the channel, is something that's kind of got me a little bit panicked, but you know, we'll see how it goes. And also a huge thank you to all of my patrons. You guys are amazing. Without you guys, I could not continue doing what I'm doing. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. If you're interested in getting involved in that, there's links in the description below. Access to a private Discord server and an extra video every single week is just 2 of the awesome benefits getting involved. This week is actually going to be about how I'm going to create all those different armies for the old world. So if you're interested to see what my plan is for my 9 starting armies, then Patreon is the place for you. Okay, now let's get stuck into painting a Warrior of Chaos very quickly. Okay, so this is the unit of Warriors of Chaos that I constructed last week for that previous video. You guys really liked that video, by the way, and I'm glad so. And I do plan on doing more of those videos in the future and trying to find as many Age of Sigmar plugins for the old world as humanly possible for you guys and sharing them. So like I said, this is a 6 wide, 3 deep, so an 18 strong unit of Chaos Warriors. I think it looks brilliant. Obviously, all the miniatures are numbered and underneath the base, so I know where they belong in the positioning of the unit, so they all rank up properly. And this is the one I decided to go for today's video. It is a really nice open posed Chaos Warrior, nice shield, nice cape, axe, got some flayed human skin on his back and so on and so forth. So I think he's a really nice one for kind of trying out all the different schemes that I'm going to need to do. So I sprayed the miniature black, a nice solid coat, and then I gave it kind of like a heavy zenithal of lead belcher. This gave me the perfect starting point for this quick and effective scheme. Obviously there is the thought process that goes into a lot of people's head when doing Warriors of Chaos as to whether or not they're going to mark them to specific gods. So you're going to do a Nurgle, a Khorne, a Slanesh, or whatever. And obviously for this one, I'm just going to go in undivided for now. I'm going to stay nice and plain, nice and generic. So I'm going to go for a nice black silver kind of tone, which I think will work a treat and get the job done. So like I said, after the silver was sprayed on, you could obviously, if you don't have any lead belcher spray, just give it a heavy dry brush of lead belcher or Iron Warrior Steel or any really dark silver paint that you have to get as strong a coat as possible. After that, I grabbed some Catachan Flesh and applied that as the base coat for all of these, sorry, not Catachan Flesh, some contrast Cygor Brown, there you go, sorry about that, for his boots and his belt that goes around his waist. And obviously the horns on top of his helmet as well. I forgot to do them here at this exact moment, but you will see later on they do get transformed into brown. That's the Cygor Brown paint. From here, I'm going to go to Guilliman Flesh, and you may think there's no flesh showing on this particular miniature. Well, he does have a flayed human skin draped across his shoulders, so we're going to use Guilliman Flesh as a base coat for that. Now, I know what you're thinking. Silver base coat, Guilliman Flesh shade. It's really not going to look well. No, it does not look great at this particular point, but what we're hoping for is the contrast to settle into the recesses, which is what it does. And it will make those recesses nice and dark and still have that tone of the skin going through it. All the raised areas, which still have a lot of the silver showing through, we are going to cover up when we get to the layering process a little bit later down the line. So remember, this was just us getting some very quick and effective base coats in this miniature to begin with. It may seem kind of crazy, but I promise you it does work. It's the same when I get to the cape in a moment. Obviously his cape is silver, and I'm going to put red contrast over the top of it, which is going to give it a kind of a bright red look, which is going to look a little bit strange. But like I said, we're looking for the recesses to have that settled dark red tone in, and all the raised areas which kind of look like or metallic red will get layered up with another paint afterwards, and it will cover up all those issues, so don't worry about that. Once you learn all the little tips and tricks on how to make contrast work for you, it is just such a great tool for getting miniatures base coated very, very quickly. And look how well this red contrast goes on over even the silver, giving us exactly what we want to with very little effort and very fast. Lots of people ask me why I use contrast paints like this and then I end up layering over a lot of it afterwards. I did do a video comparing base coating a miniature with contrast versus base coating a miniature with standard base coats, and the difference in time is actually stellar, and that was on a single miniature. So once you multiply that across an entire army, you're going to save hours and hours and hours of time. Volupus pink was used for the handle of his axe. I always like the handle wraps of axes being kind of that pinky burgundy color. I think it's a really nice spot of color. It's actually what a lot of the miniatures had on the actual cover art, so the Envy the Metal painters seem to think the same, so who might argue with those guys? Bit of Retributor armor gold was then brought in and applied to any trim parts on this particular guy. So obviously when I get to things like Chaos Knights and Chaos Chosen, there's going to be a lot more red trim, but on these guys I'm going to keep it kind of subtle. I don't want to go overboard with it. These are the rank and file foot troops of the Chaos armies, and they don't need to be crazy detailed. And like I said at the beginning of this thing, I just want to get a scheme which I can replicate en masse and get myself a nice, quick and effective Chaos army on the table without too much worry. I have hours and hours of time to put into the armies that I really want to focus on, like my Bretonnians, like Wood Elves and stuff like that. Warriors of Chaos, I just want a playable force. Okay, with all those bits and pieces on, I believe that is all the base coats applied, and it's time to now shade the miniature down. Now, originally I was going to grab some black, but I decided I didn't want to just shade it with black. I wanted to hit it with, I don't know, more of a shade color. I wanted to add it just kind of a bit more grungy, a little bit more grim. So I actually decided to go for brown. So I grabbed the Agrax Earthshade and applied this as a solid coat all over the entire miniature. This once again darkened down the miniature even darker again, which was nice. We don't want shiny plate armor on these guys. These are Warriors of Chaos after all. They're supposed to be grim and dark. And the Agrax Earthshade will hide a multitude of sins with the kind of style of base coating that we did, and put us in a really nice position to add just a few very quick effective highlights to this miniature to finish it off. While the shade is drying, I am of course going to go with my traditional basing scheme. I haven't applied flock or grass yet. I like to do that at the end of an army project so they all kind of match together better. But I will get the brown texture paste on their base and get that dry burst up and stuff. So after that has dried, this is the point that we are at. A nice Chaos Warrior. And if I was really stuck for something like a tournament and need to get models finished, I would take them to this stage and I would just leave them for now and come back to them later on. But as I have a little bit more time now, and I'm imagining most people watching my videos are going to want to take it a little bit further, I'm going to add the nice crisp highlight. So I went back to Lead Belcher and I just added a very quick highlight to the armor. Now this may seem like a slow, kind of tedious stage, but I promise you it doesn't take that long. You're not trying to get into the recesses. You're not even trying to get all of the armor plates. You're just trying to get the bits that kind of are at the forefront of the miniature that's going to be, you know, hitting the light or whatever. And you want to leave the majority of it nice, grim, and dark metallics. So it's even going around that badge there and this kind of tilt shield thing. I also used the Lead Belcher to highlight all of the golds as well. So all the golds and all the silvers got highlighted at this stage with Lead Belcher. Fine pointed brush, and obviously this is the part of the process that does take the longest amount of time, but it doesn't take a long amount of time, if that makes sense. Like, I am very tempted to do a follow-up video for this Warriors of Chaos to kind of put the scheme to the test. So in another video, it's like I want to paint all 15 other Chaos Warriors in that unit in a single day, in a single video, to show you guys that it is indeed possible. Might even have a little clock timer up to see if I can actually get it done. If that's something you guys are interested in, do let me know in the comments below. I know as soon as I get one unit of a project done, that's the kind of kick up the butt that I need to kind of push forward. Once I see something that I really enjoy and I want to aspire to have an entire collection of that. Lots of people have test miniatures. I like having test units. I know if that's a bit strange or not, but that's the driving factor behind me. Okay, now I did put a little bit of time onto his cape as well. Mostly the skin on top. Obviously, I don't think there's many of them with flayed skin on them. I think there's only one or two sculpts that have that. So I want to give it the attention it deserved. So after the Guilliman Flesh and the Agrex Third Shade, I went in with the Acadian Flesh Tone, and then I layered up the skin. Now obviously I didn't want to take it to a really kind of bright and pinky tone. This can be on like draped across his shoulders for weeks. And in order to kind of facilitate that tone across it, after I did the first coat of Acadian Flesh Tone, I grabbed some watered down Plague Bear Flesh. So it was about 50-50 with water and Plague Bear Flesh, and I applied a solid coat of that all over the skin again. Once again, to push it back towards that kind of putrid skin. Yeah, it's been draped across his shoulders for a couple of weeks now, and it's pretty gross. He may have done a pretty good job of stretching it out and cleaning it out, but it's still human skin. That's a thing. Now, obviously, this guy is from the frozen north, so that will obviously aid in the preservation of the skin. But as he marches south into the Empire, that skin is not going to last long. Some Catachan flesh was then used as a quick highlight for all of the brown leather. So realistically, it's just the belt around his waist and his boots. Those are the only two parts that we are using Catachan flesh on. Like I said, this guy is wearing head to toe. He's wearing plate armor after all. Never underestimate the fact that a Chaos Warrior is wearing plate armor. So plate armor and a shield means he's walking around as a Space Marine, a 3-up armor save. And the old world setting, an infantry model with a 3-up save is very scary. Right, back to the skin. What I did is I grabbed Kislev flesh as the last highlight. Instead of watering it down with water, I added in, once again, a little bit of Plague Bear flesh to tint that pallid skin tone back in with a tinge of green, and gave it one last highlight across the flesh. I actually kind of came up with this on the spot, and I was quite pleased with the result. One thing I forgot to show on stream is I actually did go back and grab a little bit more Cygor brown. And that was just still on my palette and still wet. And I painted all of the stitches in with that really quickly. As you can see, I'm being very careful, and I'm just doing the very raised areas of the folds of the skin. Like I said, the majority of these guys won't have anything like this. They will just be that red cloak going all the way up to the top. Some of them do indeed have some lizardman skin draped across them, so I'm excited to kind of get that painted as well, tied into my lizardman army that I'm going to do. And have all those kind of forces tied together. I think it's a really cool way of doing it. Screamer Pink was brought in as the highlight for the wrap on his axe. Once again, taking my time, just hitting the middle of all those straps as they wrap around. I wanted to leave it nice and shaded in little recesses. I know it's a kind of a bizarre thing to focus on, but weapons on things tend to be another focal point that people look at. So spending a little bit of time on those, I think those really work out. Corn Red base paint was then brought in as the one and only highlight that I'm going to do on the cape. Now it's more of a layer job than a highlight, but like normally when I do red capes, I tend to push it up further and further, going from Fiston into Evil Sun Scarlet, but I find that like bright red is a real, like a heroic color. You know, like usually the heroes of stories have big flowing red capes, like Spartans and stuff like that. And I didn't want to give these guys that kind of look. These are the bad guys. There's no two ways about that. They are the worst of the worst. Fallen in line with chaos, they have come south to do nothing but destroy and pillage the Empire. They must be stopped at all costs. So I wanted to keep the cape in that kind of dark thing. Really dark armor, really dark kind of bronzy gold, and then a kind of a deep red cape is pretty much all I need to give me a very nice aesthetic. And something that I can envision across an entire army of Warrior of Chaos. And I'm sure I will get it done soon. So I'm going to get these 18 warriors, my unit of 5 knights painted up first. And then I'm going to decide what direction I want to take the army in, what that looks like. Here is the finished Warrior of Chaos himself. Like I said, quite a quick and easy scheme. I know some of the steps may have seemed tedious, but remember, things like the skin can be left off of 90% of the miniatures because they don't have it. So I don't think it will take a long time to get a unit of these guys painted. At least that's my theory, and if you want me to put my theory to the test, please do let me know in the comments below, and I will get that video together for you. Here he is slotting into my first old world unit of Warriors of Chaos. Obviously a paint job makes an absolute huge difference. He just looks awesome sitting in there. I'm now going to jump over and show you guys a couple of still images that I took of the miniature with some nice dark shading. Like I said, I think he looks really cool. I usually, even when I begin a project like this, I'm doing this for you guys. I didn't have a real interest in painting a Warrior Chaos at the beginning of today, but by the time it gets to the end of the day and I have a miniature that I finished painting that I'm actually really proud of, I then get excited about, oh, what could my army look like? What am I going to do? What units am I going to take? How am I going to convert that? Or what am I going to... So that's happening already, and now I'm already kind of curious to see what a Warriors of Chaos army at like 1500 points will look like. So perhaps that's something we will see in the very near future. Here's a couple of final pictures of it in a unit, and from the back with a nice red cape. And yeah, I'm delighted. Okay guys, and there we have it. One new Warrior of Chaos infantry painted up and ready for the tabletop. Like I said, very quick and accessible paint scheme, but I'm still quite pleased with the result. I actually can't wait to see this unit from the back, funnily enough. I really want to see all those red capes ranked up looking well. So obviously I'm going to be working on those guys in the next couple of weeks. If you guys enjoyed this scheme, please let me know in the comments below. If you think I need to do any more videos for Warriors of Chaos, if you want to see this scheme transferred over to a knight and made into a video, please let me know about that as well. And then also, what other units should I add into this force? I think at least a Chaos Giant is another thing I need, and then some kind of Marauder unit, although I really dislike the old Marauder miniatures, and they're not something that I'm going to try and track down and use. So potentially some Warcry gangs or something like that may be used to create a really nice Marauder band. So if you guys have any ideas for that, please let me know as well. Alright, thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, give it a like. Ask me any questions you want in the comments below. And make sure you subscribe to the channel for a chance to win a Titan this year and to show me the continued support to continue making Old World. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one.